I've got a few things to talk about today. I am again messing with a couple of different cameras. I am actually recording this with two different devices to see which one is going to give me marginally better video or audio, that sort of stuff. So if I'm looking this way versus this way, that just means I'm looking at one camera or the other. I apologize for the irritation. I'm still trying to work out how to do this video audio thing best. It is still notably faster than writing long articles. So as I go forward for these product updates, some discussion, that kind of stuff, I am going to try to do, let's say, 10-15 minute video clips. And then I'll continue doing my write-ups as time allows when I'm doing a larger comparison of lots of things, all that sort of stuff. All right, so I've got a few things I want to talk about today. They will be split up in a few different clips, video clips. First, I'll talk about FrontSight. I just came back from another FrontSight class, which was kind of nice. This is my overall fifth one, spread between handguns and rifles. I will talk a little bit about a Unity tactical atom system for the Glock. I will talk also about my 10mm Glock a little bit. Notice, nothing in the chamber, nothing in the grip. Everything is loaded. I will talk a little bit, and then I'll talk a little bit about red dot sights. I'm looking at a couple of red dot sights I haven't talked much about yet, and I will talk about those. First, let's talk about FrontSight. So FrontSight is a firearm training school. It's probably the largest of its type, I think. I could be wrong. It's a little controversial because its founder, Dr. Ignatius Piazza, by all accounts, never met the guy. Fair disclaimer, by all accounts, is a fairly weird dude. If you sign up for FrontSight, he basically starts spamming you with an incredible number of emails. They're very long, very verbose, all of them trying to sell you something, right? So that does not make the school look good. But the school itself is pretty good. They train an incredible number of people. They're basic, and I keep on expanding, growing, adding another 15 ranges and all that sort of stuff. I think in the beginning, for every class, Piazza, the founder, would come in and great. So this one crapped out already. Interesting. Anyhow, so I'm talking about FrontSight. Sorry, one of the cameras went off. I was trying to figure out why. But anyhow, so would come in and try to sell you something, etc. So I didn't. I had the membership. They sell you this lifetime membership that I bought for very little money. I've had it for a long time. I never really went because the emails were a major turnoff. And then a year ago, I was turning 40, and I finally went. And what I did, because I had the membership, I actually read one of Piazza's long emails, and what they want to do, so they want you to do the marketing for them, right? They want you to buy a bunch of memberships and then sell them to people, make a little bit of money and spread the word and all that sort of stuff, right? So for, what was the deal at the time? I think I spent $500 or so, and I did an upgrade to my existing membership. And what that upgrade did, it gave me, I think, 15 or so additional lifetime memberships that I own, that I was ostensibly supposed to sell to people. I'm not going to go and start, it's a pyramid scheme, right? I'm not going to go and start selling FrontSight memberships, but what I did is that I colluded with a bunch of my friends and convinced them to go take a 4-day basic defensive handgun class with me. And I just, they gave me memberships, and to my brother and a few friends, I gave them my memberships ostensibly for their birthdays or whatever else. And to everyone else, I gave a class certificate, right? So I just used that to take people over and spend a weekend there. it's my freaking birthday, I can spend it whichever way I like. And that was a great success. So a few of them got hooked, and what we learned, that was my second class I went once before. What we really learned about FrontSight is that if we ignore the whole barrage of emails from Mr. Piazza, from the marketing, the class itself is pretty good. It is probably not the best class for people who compete for serious shooters. For them, there are more advanced classes. But it is really good introductory class. It's taught well, the instructors are good, the curriculum is very consistent, and it's basically designed to be the great equalizer class, right? It can take a reasonably experienced shooter, which I was not very well trained, but fairly experienced and somewhat competent, or it can take a very new shooter. At the end of those 4 days, you will basically have your fundamentals more or less worked out, so that then you can go home, and when you practice, you're actually grooving in the right things, right? And for that, the class has been extraordinarily successful, based on close to 15 people that I have now seen take it, right? Everybody comes out of it a better shot. So from this point on, I'm not going to talk too much about business practices of FrontSight. People wonder how do they stay in business, because once you have the membership, you don't have to pay anything extra for classes. Well, they have more than 1,000 people there every weekend, and they all buy some food, and they all buy some products, and they all buy some ammo. FrontSight does, I think. But anyhow, as far as the class goes, so it's 4 days. It's very, very heavy on safety. It is very, very heavy on going over the fundamentals again and again and again and again. And the instructors right up front in the beginning say, well, we have our way, we think it's a good way. Ultimately, don't have to agree with us, but if you're here for this class, we ask you to do it our way. If you don't like it, by all means. If you think your way is better, please tell us. We are open to suggestions. It's a nice thing to say. The instructors are generally competent. They shoot well. They seem like they're competent shots, but most importantly, they can explain. And I think that's important because I've seen a lot of people who teach, shooting and other things, who are very good at doing it. If you're an incredibly good shot, it doesn't necessarily mean you're an incredibly good teacher. I've been doing martial arts for a very, very, very long time. Some of the best fighters I have seen made the worst coaches. So these guys, I didn't try to evaluate how good they are as shooters, but they're pretty good coaches, and that is important. That is critical. So up to date. So there's this. The way they do this, there's this 4-day defensive handgun class, which I took. To go to an advanced class, you have to get what's called distinguished graduate from the basic 4-day class, and at the end of it, there's a test, and basically they subtract some points if you do things, if you miss, if you're slow, or if you screw something up on malfunctions, right? We do malfunctions, clearance drills, and all that sort of stuff. The first time I took the class, I didn't quite make it. I missed it by a couple of points because the malfunctions were a little bit, I screwed something up on malfunctions on time, I think. Second time I took it, I got my DG, Distinguished Graduate, so then I went and took an advanced class, which is an entirely different ball game. That was different. Those people can really shoot, and it's exponentially more difficult class to do well. I enjoyed it a lot. I also took a rifle class at some point, a carbine, not precision rifle, which I'm going to do again. And this past weekend I went and took another basic defensive handgun class because my brother went there with his family, with the kids, and I wanted to help them a little bit. And also what's a nice way of saying this? I don't think you can drill fundamentals too much, right? So while I can do more advanced classes, I've gotten better since I've been shooting for a long time. Not great, but I could shoot. Going back and doing fundamentals may be a little bit boring, but it is a good practice, and I like doing it. And what I started doing with FrontSight now, when I go for the basic class, which I usually go with someone to help somebody out or just to keep somebody company, I experiment with different guns, right? So I was primarily doing when I was really trying to a couple of times I did it in advanced class. I took with my Glock 34, my Glock shooter, and so that's my primary gun. Now I went to FrontSight and I use some other guns. The nice thing about instructors there is that they're reasonable, right? So ostensibly they're not going to let you take this class with the inside the waistband holster. It has to be outside the waistband. It has to be full size handgun, preferably 9mm, something like Glock 17 or something like that, or XD or MNP or N911 or anything. Once you go there and they watch you a little bit, they talk to you. Once they figure out you know what you're doing, they let you optimize what you use, right? So what I did is that I used the big 10mm with a red dot because I wanted to mess a little bit with the red dot. I was trying to, I'll talk a little bit more about this mount later, and I wanted to see how it would work. And then the rest of the class I did with my Glock 34, once again, everything unloaded, using the inside the waistband holster, right? And the instructors, to in my opinion, great credit. I checked with them, right? They let me use it, they let me do it, you know. They watched me a little bit, they offered some helpful suggestions, but basically they let me do it whichever way I want. So going forward, I'm probably going to continue with that general strategy. I'm sure I'll take the basic class again with someone, and maybe I'll do it with a revolver, or maybe I'll do it left-handed, you know, I shoot both hands. Something like that, right? I'll work it out. But that makes being able to do it with different guns, carry systems, that kind of stuff makes the class interesting for me. Even now I'm fairly comfortable that I can DG this class with any reasonable semi-automatic firearm. But for example, I'm not sure if I can do it within their time limit with a tiny gun that's sitting inside the waistband holster. My presentation out of the inside the waistband holster, I don't think it's fast enough. But that's something to try. Unfortunately, this time I couldn't stay until the last day, until the test. I had to go back home. But anyhow, so that's FrontSight. For those of you who are thinking about going, especially if you're a new shooter, I highly recommend it. The FrontSight that I go to is about an hour drive outside of Las Vegas, so it's one of the more accessible of the different shooting schools. You can buy class certificates, memberships, etc. You know, a bunch of people sell them on the forums and all that. If you can't find it, let me know, or maybe I'll be able to hook you up with someone. But anyhow, it's training is important, and all of us who I've been shooting for a long time before I got any real training, and we all think we're good because we shoot at a range, and it's not terribly difficult to learn to shoot slow fire, right? You can watch somebody shoot, you can look on the internet, you can figure out the basics of trigger control and breathing and all that, and you can be better than your friends. But once you have to speed up, once you have to take things out of the holster, it's really nice to get some training just to make sure you don't shoot yourself in the ass somewhere in there, and it helps you get faster, right? But anyhow, so that's my story on FrontSight, and I'm gonna stop this clip and I'll move on to the next one, talk a little bit about the Unity Tactical Atom system for Glock slides.